Hey everyone, thanks for taking the time to watch our demo on Client Choice, the simplified construction management software. As we go through the demo, the first thing that you might notice is that Client Choice is a little bit different than most construction management softwares, and that's by design. Client Choice was built with two goals in mind: client satisfaction and increased profits. We do this by removing a lot of the bells and whistles that you normally find in most construction management softwares and really focus on the client and making sure they have the right information to make informed decisions. On the back end, we focus on process optimization by reducing data entry, facilitating communication, and managing change, resulting in increased profit margins. Please keep in mind that this is just a short demo. We're going to touch on some of the main functionality of the software, but there's a lot more details that we won't be able to get to. If you would like a more in-depth demo, please contact us and we'll be more than happy to set that up. Alright, so let's get started. As we access the Client Choice demo software, the first thing we have to do is set up our demo, and so it will ask us for an email address. Please be sure and use a valid email address, as a link will be sent to you so that you can come back in and access your demo at a later time. We have to choose which demo we want to load, so we'll choose New Home Demo and select Continue. As the demo is being generated, one quick note, any data that's entered is temporary, and then we do reset the servers every so often, so stuff you enter may not be there at a later date. And with that being said, we will hit OK, and that brings us to our Client Choice demo login screen. There's three main roles that we're going to look at. Like I said, this is for demo purposes only, so for right now these are just buttons that you can log in with. If this was the actual software, each one of these users will be presented with a sign-in screen. The first one we're going to look at is the administrator, so that would be the home builder. Could be a general contractor, a designer, or whoever is going to fulfill that role. The second one is the client, and so that would be like the homeowner. And then lastly, we have subcontractors, and they may access the system. They may have inputs or need to get data out of the system. Each one of these users is going to have their own separate dashboard, and it's going to look a little bit different. And so we're going to dive in and kind of look at what each one looks like. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and log in as the administrator role. And so we'll just click on the login button. This is the administrator's dashboard. From in here, you'll see a lot of the tools that we talked about, process optimization. There's a lot of tools in here for that. You can do messages. So you can send messages back and forth between subcontractors, clients, yourself. You can track your users, enter in all your subcontractors. There's scheduling pieces of this, so you can go and schedule a subcontractor for certain jobs. And then there's some reporting that will be used on the back end. We're just going to go ahead and jump in. Guides is what we're going to be concentrating on for right now. This is what the client is actually going to use to make the choices for their homes. We're going to go ahead and click on guides. And so this is a demo, and so this has just been set up by the software. So it just created a generic order. I'm going to go ahead and go in here and modify this, and so we can just change the name of this. We can just put in a address, and call it whatever we want. So this would be the location of the house, and then we can put in a budget. So say if we have a home and the homeowner has a budget of $350,000, we can go ahead and enter that in, and we will submit that. And so now our guide is ready to go. So now we'll take a look at the guide from the client's perspective, and so we will log out from the administrator dashboard and we will log in as the client. So the guide that we just created is in here waiting for the client to access. You may notice the client dashboard has a lot less tools than what you find on the admin dashboard. From in here you can look at any guides that have been assigned to the client or any messages that they may have. We're going to go ahead and jump into a guide here, and remember that a guide is what the clients use to make choices for their home. And so I'm going to go ahead and click on the view button here, and this opens up our guide. So inside of here on the left hand side are all the different categories that need to be filled out in order to complete all the choices for this home. On the right side are the individual choices. So if I want to jump into fireplaces, I can click on fireplaces, and then we're gonna have options in here to choose the fireplace that we want for the home. At the top, we have our budget, and so we know our budget is $350,000. And then over here we have our price, and so as we go through and we make choices, this price is updated in real time. And so the goal here is for the client to be able to go home and start to make these choices on their own time. And so another thing to note is that these certain areas in here have to be filled out by certain roles. So like this one, for instance, has to be entered by the admin, and the red star indicates it is required. And so I'm logged in as a client, and so if I try and update this one, I can't, because only the admin has access to update it. And so if I keep scrolling down, there's no indication here, so this one is actually done by the client. So say if we have a house and we want to have a finished basement, I can click on finished basement, and I know that the price is $25 per square foot. So say if I want to finish 1,200 feet of the basement, then it will calculate that out to be $30,000. And then notice up top that $30,000 is added to our budget. And so say if we're in a scenario where we're uptight against our budget and we need to cut, we can come in here in real time. We can say, well, maybe we don't do 1,200, maybe we only do, we'll say 700. And then that recalculates our total price up here, and so we can see what effect that is going to have on our budget. And so as we go ahead and scroll down through here, these are the different choices that we have to make as part of the home design. So in here we have the different options, and each option has information that's built in here. So this is where the builder can really embed knowledge into this guide, so that the homeowner has that available to them as they make these choices. So if I click on this info button, it's going to pull up a screen, and in here you can actually add any knowledge that you want to. So you may say, you know, for a corner bench, for a walk-in shower, like why would you want to choose that, and why is that better than say other options? You can add any images that you want in here. If you click on it, it can blow it up, make it bigger. The other part of this is there's a gallery view. So like in here there's several different options, and so you can click on gallery view, and then it brings up every option that's in here, so you can look at them all in one place. If you need more information, you can just click on it. It brings up the screen that has a little bit more detail about why this option should be chosen. From in here, if you select one, so say we want a half bath, it's $2,500, we'll select it, we'll close here, and so now it's selected, and then it's also added up here. And then, so say we choose a taller toilet, so we select that, and then our budget goes up $100. As we continue to scroll down, every section is going to have a roll up at the bottom, so you can tell how much you're spending on that particular section. I'm just going to go through here and fill out some of these different options in here. And so as we keep scrolling down, we can choose whatever we like. Again, we can click on the gallery view. Shows all the different options. We can make the selection from here. And then we click next. And so this brings us to our sign-off page. And so sign-offs are something that can, you can have as many sign-offs as you want. So as you work through the construction process, you know, there's certain decisions that have to be made up front for pre-construction, and then, you know, there's decisions that don't have to be made till later, and so you can go ahead and start construction on the house without certain decisions being made. And so you can add sign-offs in here, and once a sign-off happens, that's the customer basically saying that, yeah, we agree with all this, and so then the builder can get started, and then if something changes later on, then that's where the change order process comes in. But for the sign off, it lists out all the different choices that were made, how much each one of those cost, and so it really lays it out for the homeowner as they go through here. They click on I agree, and they click on submit sign off. And so in this case, we mentioned earlier that this had to be entered by the admin, and so the admin hasn't entered this yet. So when they tried to sign off on it, the required field is missing. And so what has to happen here is that the admin actually has to enter it. So I'm going to log out of here, and I'm going to log in as an admin to go ahead and get that information filled out. So I'm going to click on the login as an administrator button. And then from the administrator dashboard, our guide is in here. So I'm going to click on the view button. And then from in here, we're going to have to fill out the information that was needed. So you may have, for your home design, you may have, say, a base price that you set for your home. So say that's $150,000. And then you may have a plan that you want to upload. And so I'm going to click on that. I'm going to upload a quick plan. And so now our plan is in here. You can come in there and add any notes that you want to. And in here you have an editor, so you can change the font size, make it bold, however you want to edit that text. If I go ahead and scroll down, you can see that the homeowner has made some choices in here already. This can be modified by the admin if it needs to be. I think if I scroll down, there was one more section that had to be entered by the admin. And so, yeah, the master bathroom shower plan, entered by admin, it's required. So in here, I'm just gonna put in something to get it filled out. I'll just go ahead and upload pretend this is a shower plan here. And so I think that was the last option. So I'm gonna hit next. And this comes to the sign off page. So again, it's gonna list out all the choices that have been made. Down here is an I agree button. This has to be done by the homeowner, so I can't, as the admin, I cannot make this selection. I can only hit next to move on to the next one. So I'm going to log out of here. And I'm going to log back in as the client. And so we go back into our guide. And now notice that the home design information is filled out. The image has been uploaded. And our price has been updated. So if I now go to the pre-construction sign-off page, again, we can review all the entries that we've made. And I'm going to click on I agree. And I'm going to submit the sign-off. And it's going to ask you to confirm. And now the sign-off has been completed. So if you notice over here, this is now turned blue, and now this is locked. And so what that means is the builder can now get started on all of this stuff, and the homeowner has agreed of all the choices they've made, that that's their final choice. And so the home builder can now get started, and then these other decisions can be made at a later date. So once the sign-off has been completed by the homeowner, they can continue through the guide. As we mentioned before, one of the big advantages of this is that the home builder can embed their knowledge into this guide. And so say for instance, a gas fireplace, you can embed, why would anybody want to choose a gas fireplace, is what's good about it. What about an electric fireplace? What are some of the advantages of electric fireplaces, and what are some of the disadvantages? All that can be put into this guide. And that way the homeowner, on their own time, can have that information available. They can make their selections, and they can know exactly what impact it's going to have on their budget. A couple other things in here. These choices, there's a condition builder as part of it. And so as you make choices, the other options are kind of dynamic. So in this case, flooring designer option has been chosen, and so once that is chosen, then you come in here and say you choose laminate wood, and then that makes the options available for all the laminate wood options. The other piece of this is that you can have it set up to where custom flooring choices with our supplier. And so that'd be a scenario where, say, there's a carpet store and you want the client to go meet with them. You can select this. There's a $500 charge for, say, going out of your process. The homeowner should be very aware of that, as it's listed right here. And then there's custom choices that can be entered. And so this is entered by the subcontractor. So I'm going to log out of here and log in as a subcontractor. So this is the subcontractor dashboard. From inside of here, the subcontractors, they can run reports, and that gives them information on choices that have been made on houses. They can look at people to communicate with. They can write messages to communicate with either the builder or the homeowner. They can view a calendar for themselves so that they know when they're scheduled to be at certain places at certain times. Our guide that we had filled out, they now have access to go in here and enter that information. So if you recall, on our guide, we chose the custom flooring choices with our supplier. So say that the client, the homeowner, they meet with a carpet store, they spend, say, $5,500. They can upload any files that they want to, whether it be pictures of carpet or samples or whatever it is. They can upload all of that and they can save it. And we'll jump back to the dashboard here, and then we will log out, and we will log back in as the client. You may notice here we had that sign off, and so on the dashboard you can actually see what percentage is signed off. So say if you have 4 sign-offs and 3 of them are completed, then this would say 75%. So it kind of gives you a status of where the project is. We're going to go ahead and jump back into our guide, and we're working on flooring. And so we can see here that $5,500 that was entered by the subcontractor is now in here, and as well as any attachments that they may have had. So anyway, so they go through, they can complete all these different areas. Once they get down to the very last part, there's a final approval sign off, and this is going to list out every choice that they've made, so they can review that, they can see the price, and then they'll submit their final sign off. A couple other things about the guide. You can do a search. You can search through and find different things. This here is a gallery of selected items. So what this is they can go through and they can actually view images of every item that they've selected. So obviously if this was a complete one, it would have many more items than this, but they can view everything kind of in one place. And so that is what the guide looks like for the client. Next, we're going to talk about change. So what happens if the client goes in, they make their decisions, they sign off on it, and then they decide they want to change something. So in order to address that, we do allow for change orders. So I'm going to log in as the client and go into our guide. And so on the home design, we've signed off on this, it's locked. And so if we scroll down, we can't change anything. What if we want to change it? We actually can click here and we can unlock this. And so when we do that, it now makes these available to be edited. So say if the homeowner decides that they don't want a taller toilet because it adds too much to their budget, they can actually unselect that, and then notice that it takes it off here, and they can scroll down, and at the bottom, now that they've changed something, they have an option to submit their change order. So we're going to submit that. It's going to give them an overview of everything that has happened and the impact, so that they know that the contract amount It changed, it's come down $100. They have a new amount. They can add in any notes that they want here to send over to the builder, and then they have to check that they agree to the change order. So I'm going to select OK, and the change order then is going to be generated. And so I'm going to log out and log back in as an administrator. And so now in here in the administrator dashboard, we have a change order request. And so any change order requests that come in, they're going to be listed over here. The builder can go in, they can view the details, and they can choose whether or not they're going to approve, reject, or modify. There may be an instance where they reject it because whatever the change request is, the work's already been completed. So if they reject it, then it goes back to the homeowner, and then they'll get that information. They can choose to modify, and so if they say, yeah, we can cancel that, but we've already had to pay a shipping fee, so there's going to be an extra, $30 fee for that, so they can enter that in and then submit it, and then it goes back to the homeowner. So any change that happens, it's modified, it's handled through the system, and when change orders are submitted, messages go out to all the stakeholders so that everybody's aware that a change has happened. So once the data has been submitted into the system, the home builder will need to get that information out. That's where reports come in. Any guides that have been submitted will be listed in here. If there's multiple reports, which reports are configurable, so you can have as many different reports as you want. So you can choose what report. There's different filters that you can use, but basically once the information's in here, you can generate a report, and so then any choices that have been made can then be viewed in one single view or printed out. Any attachments that have been added in can be viewed in here. And so these reports, you can set permissions on them, but they're available to home builders, they're available to subcontractors. Obviously the permissions will determine what all the subcontractor can see. There's a lot of different options for that, but reporting is how you get the information out of the system. So you may be wondering how the guides that we just went through are configured. All the guides are based off of templates, and templates are completely customizable to your processes. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into a template here and go into our template designer. So on the right side here is our choice catalog, and so these choices can be entered in, and they can be whatever choices that you want to add into the system. Like I said, it's completely customizable to your process. Over here on the left side, these pages, they may look familiar. These are the same names as what was in the guide that we went through, the same sections. This interface is completely drag and drop. So say if I want to ask a question about the fireplace before paint colors, I can simply just drag it in here. Within each page, there's different sections. Everything in here is drag and drop as well. So say for Firebox Power, I want to add in, I'll just add something here. So I can simply take, and then I can drag and drop this option in here, and then it's added. There's a lot of other configuration options. You can do conditions, a lot of stuff that's more detailed than we're going to get into here. But the designer, like I said, is completely customizable to your processes, and you can have multiple templates, and then there are going to be multiple guides built off of those templates. So that's a high-level overview of Client Choice. Thanks for taking the time to watch our demo, and if you would like more information or like to schedule a more in-depth demo, please visit our website at titechsolutions.com.